Okay, so we just made a video on how to port or import a project from an older version of QGIS. We used this plugin 115, so I highly recommend you watch that video because it's going to go over dot files and things like that. I'm going to redo this video, but I'm going to skip some of that. We're going to do this for version 1.0. So first off, let's update our plugin to version 1.0. So if you're using 115, your plugin looks like this. And if you're in the Manage and Install plugins and you click on FLO-2D, you're going to see that it's version 0.10.115, or what I call 115. So let's update that to plugin 1.0. So I'm going to install from zip. And the one that I have already released on my website as an experimental plugin, and you can pick that plugin up here in your in your update folder. You can pick that plugin up here, 1.0. That's the one I've released. And I'm going to install that. And I'm going to go to my installed list and uncheck it and then recheck it so that it will show up on the plugin menu. Now that's the experimental version that I released a few weeks ago. Now what happens if you want a newer version? Because we have done some bug fixes, we've added new tools for our June 30 release, where we're going to release the plugin fully on June 30th. Alright, so if you go to GitHub, github.com, and you search for FLO-2D software, you can see this is where we store the code for the latest version of the plugin. So if you are on this code, you're on the master branch of the plugin. Or if you want to try one of these other branches, you can get them here. But the master branch of the plugin, you can download the code right here just by clicking download zip. You can also clone the code or open it with GitHub if you want to do some, try to modify this code using Python. So I downloaded this a couple of minutes ago. I downloaded it to a folder called plugins. Well, actually I didn't, sorry. I downloaded it right here to a folder this is just the master. So I'm just going to Control X this, put it in here, and paste it. Okay, now if I double click on this, I'm not going to extract it, but if I double click on it a couple times, I can get this guy called FLO-2D, and that's the actual plugin. So I'm going to Control A, Control C, and then I want to take that to my plugin folder, which is C drive, users, and then the name that you log in with. That's your computer name. App data, roaming, and then hit the word Q, QGIS, and then just keep going down until you see this Python folder. Go into the Python folder, go into FLO-2D, Control A, Shift Delete, and Control V. Control A will select all, Shift Delete will permanently delete those files, and Control V will repopulate the plugin folder. And then now the next thing to do will be to restart QGIS. So now when you restart QGIS, your plugin will load. That's not right. Let me try that again. That was too quick. Okay, there we go. Now we have a blank, or just a refresh QGIS with our new plugin. And what we did before with the other video is we just imported, let's see, example projects, examples, urban project. We just imported these DAT files. And we kind of went over these DAT files briefly to check and see, whether or not they could import into QGIS. And so go watch that video so you can find out whether or not that's a possibility. So the first thing we did was we set the coordinate system down here in the corner. That's important to set the coordinate system. And if you don't know the coordinate system, I'll do another video on how to find a coordinate system for a project with just .dat files. We click OK, and then we set up the project, the geopackage. So that's a new FLO-2D project, and we're going to call it Urban Gila because the name of the new plugin is called FLO-2D Plugin Gila. And we'll save that and set that to the same coordinate system as our project coordinate system. And then as that loads, what it's doing first is it's building the new geopackage format, and then it will, and so it's building, this is the structure of the new geopackage. It has probably 10 or 20 new tables from version 1.15. And now we're going to import the project into this. So if I click import DAT files, you can see that this, sorry, that's export, import DAT files. You can see that this is a little bit different from plugin 1.15. So, but it's the same process. We've just changed the buttons a little bit. So you click on that, and then we're in the exact same folder. Click on cont.dat, click open, click OK, and that will be filling these tables with that data. We don't need this, so I'm going to click no, and click OK, and click OK again, and then we'll shut that down. And we now have an imported project, but that last message told us we need to port it to the new format. So I need to port it from the schema layers into the user layers. So if I click this button here, I can get back to that porting button. So this button is convert schema layers to user layers. So I click comp domain. That will convert the grid to a computational domain. Boundary conditions, that's pretty obvious. It's just inflow nodes and outflow nodes. Don't do channels, because that would be, it doesn't work very good. So just leave your channels alone. Hydraulic structures, levees, and then if you had floodplain cross sections and storm drains, you'd want to hit those two as well. And then click OK. And it says that these guys were ported, and you can click OK. And now if you were to go into your structure editor, you would see that your hydraulic structures are in here. That's the different structures along that channel. And if you would go to your boundary condition, you might also see that if we hit that eyeball there, you might also see that your inflow nodes are also in here. And your outflow nodes are in here as well. Let me see if I can select one of those outflow nodes, and that is our boundary conditions on the downstream side. We did not port levees, we did not port buildings, so if you needed to do levees or buildings, you'd just rebuild those polylines or modify those data files in the schema layers. Okay, now remember, if you want to see whether or not your program lines up correctly, you'll bring in your Google map, and then if you know if it lines up correctly, you got the right coordinate system. Now I'm going to click Save, and this version of QGIS is a little different than the other version of QGIS. So what we have here, let me delete that, I don't need that. This is the Urban Gila, Gila meaning that this was done using the Gila plugin. And this is the 1.15 plugin. 1.15, you need a QGZ file and a GPKG file. On the Gila version of the plugin, you just get a GPKG file because the QGZ file is built into this table or into this database. Okay, so if you look at the database, go to the browser and you open the geopackage. Let's right-click, remove, and right-click New Connection. And we'll go here. And then I'll expand the database so that you can see that the QGZ file is now built into the database. So if you add a layer to QGIS, it's going to be directed to here. But I'm not going to talk any more about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to do something like that. I just wanted to get this back up to the top. And this is the entire tables and data and geodata and everything for the FLO-2D project. So if I save QGIS and I close it, and then say I wanted to share this project with someone, like say you wanted to send it to me for troubleshooting, you just come in here, right click, zip. I use 7-zip because it makes them super small, and just set it to a 7Z, and then you can send me this file for troubleshooting. Or you can send it to a zip. If your friends don't use 7Z, you can send this to a zip file, it'll be like maybe a little bit bigger, but it still zips down. It still compresses fine, and then you can send this one to, your coworkers or people that you love to share your FLO-2D projects with using this method too. All right, anyway, that's it. So that's the end of this video. Next video will be talking about how to save projects with the FLO-2D plugin. So I'm going to stop here.